We are now going to go ahead and begin our media availabilities. We are joined by Joey Logano, driver of the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford for Team Penske. We'll go ahead and open it up to questions. If you have one, please raise your hand and we will get a mic over to you. Go right here to Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. What do you think the racing is going to be like with this added downforce?
I guess I'm unsure right now. I think a few years back when we had the bigger spoilers and the bigger splitters on the cars, yeah, I know we're a little more than that again. I guess I think of that a little bit. I guess it's kind of hard to say. You know, after the few laps that we've run so far, man, you can hustle the heck out of the car. I know I was huffing and puffing after a couple qualifying laps at a time out there. So you're just driving the car so hard. I've never gone around this racetrack that fast before. It's incredible. So I have not been around another car, behind another car. I can't honestly tell you what I think it's going to be like until we get practicing tomorrow and we get around another car. We just been in qualifying trim all day. Most cars have, almost all of them have. There's a few of them that ran a few more laps than others, but I haven't been around another car to know yet. So just kind of unsure at this point of what it will be like. We'll see.
We'll go ahead to Wolfgang right in the middle.
I have a follow-up, Joey. Did you test the car already with added downforce? Is this a different feeling, different driving behavior?
Yeah, I didn't test the car out here. But so this is my first laps with this rules and all that horsepower, which took me a second to get used to again. I was like, wow, this thing's got some good power, which was kind of fun. But, you know, I mean, it's like I said, there's so much for us to learn still. Whether it's the 550 package or the 750 package, it's hard for us to really know exactly what we need right now, and what's going to go fast and what we need to race. We just don't know, which makes this part of the season really fun and this West Coast swing really challenging because you can't really adjust your cars too much in the amount of time you have before you got to get another car back out here. So. It's definitely been a challenge for all these race teams right now to be able to figure all that out, but it's been a fun challenge and it presents a great opportunity to figure it out first. And, every time we show up to the racetrack, I go, what are we going to do? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be like. We got to wait and see.
Are there any other questions?
Sam Brennan, Blaze Radio. Obviously, Blaney and Keselowski had a good practice run. How much communication is going between you guys sharing information, especially with the new package at the track?
Yeah, they unloaded fast and were able to carry a lot of speed throughout practice. So we've been looking at what they're doing, and there's not much time from when practice ends to when qualifying starts to be able to change really big items and change things in a quick enough time to get into tech. There is a lot of time between practice and qualifying, but all the cars have to go through tech, like you see out the window over here. So you don't have much time to do a lot of things. So by the time you communicate about it, talk about it, try to make some decisions, and give your team enough time to be able to put that in the race car, you're out of time. It's only like 40 minutes or so that you have between. I don't know, it's somewhere around 40 minutes. It might be longer or shorter, but it's pretty close to that. We took what we can, and kind of saw some balance differences, and I had the opportunity to kind of look at a lot of their stuff, talk to them, and try to make some decisions to get a little faster. We're not that far off. We're just a little bit. But it doesn't take much, and it's nice when you have a teammate that's the fastest car, because you can look at it and say, all right, I know exactly what they're doing. So that's a nice advantage to have right now.
We'll go over to your left, Joey, in the front.
Kurt Hansen, ESPN Radio. Joey, with the championship out of the way now, a baby out of the way now, has that changed?
He's not out of the way yet.
Yeah, well, you got a long ways to go, brother. Well, you know what I mean.
He's not technically in the way, though, either.
Well, yeah,
so.
you weren't carrying it. It wasn't an extra passenger. Has that changed you as a person and a driver and your approach to this season? And if so, how?
It's changed me a lot as a person. It hasn't changed me as a driver really at all. But your priorities change, and the things that you want to do is different than what it was before. Like I want to go home. I want it's this West Coast swing. I used to want to stay out here, and do things in between the races, and you know, especially between Phoenix and California, there's a lot of things we can do to help promote our sport in the West Coast and in the LA area. So I really like doing that, and I'm still going to go out a little early for it, but I'm going to go home. You know, I want to go home and see, you know, little man and my wife, and you know, be able to spend a little time there. So, you know, for me, you know, my perspective has changed a little bit, and what's most important in life and all that, that's changed a little bit. But when you get to the racetrack, you have to be able to flip a switch when you get in that race car, and or when you walk into the garage and you're just full on race mode and focused in, because to compete against the best, you can't have distractions. You know, not that they're distractions, but you know, you got to be 100% focused on the job at that point. And then it's also healthy to be able to go home and flip that switch back off and not be thinking about the race car all the time. And I think that's something that kind of helps keep you fresh when you get back to the racetrack. So I really, you know, worked on that a lot last year, and it was you know, pretty challenging, because you kind of get, just like any new parent, you get a little overwhelmed at times. You're saying, I can't do anything as good as I want to. So you just have to really compartmentalize exactly what you want to do. And that was a challenge for me, but I would say I haven't figured out yet, but I'm closer to where it was last year. So that's good.
We'll go right here to Bob, then to Reed, then to Chris.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. It seemed like some guys might have been spinning the tires a little bit, just getting out of the garage with the extra horsepower. Do you will that impact restarts at all? The fact that you haven't done a restart with this much horsepower this year?
Yeah, you know, wheel spin wasn't too big of a deal. It was a little bit at Atlanta, not much last week in Vegas. Wheel spin will probably come into play here, especially where the restart zone is and all that. You know, with the new off of turn 2, the new turn 2, or 4, the new turn 4. That's what it is. Gosh, it gets me. I call it the bank corner and the flat corner because I can't get it right. I don't think I ever can get it right. But anyways, yeah, they'll change that part of it. Just going through the gears, right? The ratios, all that stuff is different than what we had the last week. And you know, and this place is always fun for restarts, because you get that dog leg and cars get wide, and you have such a wide entry to turn 3 where you can go way below the yellow line. And not that there's much grip down there, but there's room to do something. When cars make mistakes or go up the racetrack, you can get around and do stuff. So I wouldn't expect that piece to change at all. I think, you know, the racing is going to be every bit as good as it was last year, with the chance of it being better. Yeah, that's kind of my thought at this point. I mean, we'll have to wait and see, but I do think restarts are still going to be chaos here for the first couple laps, like we've seen in the past.
Go to Reed.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire. Given the variety of track services, packages, everything that you're starting the season with, how long do you think it's going to be before you're relatively confident that what's coming off the truck is what you need?
Probably not until we get to the track the second time. I think we won't take off as far off. You know, like even when you go to maybe a Texas for the first time, won't be as far off as we were when we went to Atlanta the first time. But when you go to Texas the second time, you're going to be pretty much have a really good idea of what you need, especially after you go through a race once. And you realize, okay, this is most important. I need this in my car. As a driver, you know what you're looking for, and as a crew chief and the engineers, you're all talking about the same thing. Everyone's on the same page, and you know what you're building the car for, and what you need most out of it. So right now, we all think we know. Well, this was important at Atlanta, and this was important in Vegas. Is it going to be important in Texas? Some of it, yes. Some of it, we don't know. Yeah, but like I said, that's the fun challenge right now. That's anytime there's new rules, there's that challenge that comes along with it, which is it's a fun piece that I enjoy, you know, and it really gets you thinking outside of your box that, you know, you had before. After running the same rules for a few years, you get so refined, and you think of these little changes, and now you're thinking more broad, big things, and that's pretty fun.
We'll go to Chris and then finish with Lee.
ChrisKnightCatchfest.com. Joey, there's a lot of talk this week on various networks and platforms whether or not Team Penske is speaking too soon. Is all that talk justifiable?
Speaking too soon in as what? Peaking. Oh, peaking. I thought you said speaking. And I was like, oh, what did we say? I mean, I don't know if there's maybe we haven't reached our peak, right? can't be peaking too soon if you didn't get to your own peak. At least that's my opinion. No, I mean, it's so early in the season. You can't, I mean, things are going to, like I said, it's going to be changing week after week of who the dominant car is. You know, but I will say, yeah, we came out of the gates pretty strong. You know, and I'm super proud of that. But I wouldn't say we're peaking too soon. No way. I wouldn't want to think that way if we were either.
We'll go ahead and finish the league.
Lee Spencer, RacingBoys.com. I have 2 questions, and hopefully this one won't be the soundbite of the week.
It was.
I know. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's good. It's good. It's okay.
Thank you. How crazy is that wind out there, and how do you find the balance between, you know, feeling what the balance is in your car and how much the wind is upsetting the ride?
Yeah, I mean, the wind last week was a pretty big deal in Vegas. You have that wind that we had in practice that was blowing down the back straightaway into turn 3. You know, that was really upsetting our cars quite a bit. It's the same for everybody. But, you know, it's funny sometimes when you have a gust of wind and the car in front of you moves and then you move and everyone slides up the racetrack together when there's a gust of wind because obviously you can't see it coming, right? So, you know, it's tough in practice because you're setting up the car in conditions that aren't going to be there the next day. And that's just one of the variables, right? There's wind, but there's the amount of rubber, there's the track temperature, the amount of cars that are on the racetrack. All that stuff really plays in practice when you're thinking about what you're going to do for the race. So you're trying to think of those variables while you're tuning on your car. And last week, yeah, entry to 3 was not our strong suit in practice. And when the race started, it was okay. And we made some adjustments to fix it, but the wind was bigger than anything that we adjusted to fix it. The wind went away on Sunday. So here, you know, I thought it was going to affect us more. I don't really feel it right now. It seemed like it was, I mean, there's so much more grip than the last time we were here. I don't think we've gotten to the point that we feel the small pieces of the wind yet.
And finally, there was a report out this week that Rockingham is trying to get, there's new owners and they're trying to getting it back together. And you ran that track kind of later in your career. I mean, not this late, but you got the opportunity to run a truck there, and kind of wanted your feeling on, you know, do you think that would be a viable location to go back to for NASCAR?
Absolutely. I think Rockingham's one of the best racetracks there is. With the surface the way it is, and I haven't been there in a few years, so I don't know, you know, over the winters and things if it's worn out more. But we've tested there. I tested there. I can't tell you how many times I've made laps around that racetrack early in my career, and it's always so much fun because you had these huge swells, you know, that were almost they're in the center of the corner, and the car go up and down, like kind of like Atlanta. And you had a surface that was so wore out, and you could run the top, the bottom. There's just no grip. Anywhere you looked, there was no grip. And that was fun. I mean, it was so much fun. It was hard to test because you're saying, was it the change or was it the tires wearing out? You couldn't ever figure out what's what. But the racing was so much fun. And you had the cars that you just, you know, some would be fast in the short run, some were good on the long run, and I had a great time. I only raced an ARCA race and a truck race there, but boy, I loved it.
All right. Thanks, Joey. That's all the time we have.
He had one more. Are you just going to leave him out?
They were to follow up on what Lee said, though, they were talking about improvements would include resurfacing the track. So if they resurface the track, wouldn't it be...
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. No, don't resurface. That's fine. I don't know if that goes all the way to the new owners, but don't repave it. Yeah, you got to start all over. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool the way it is.
Thanks, Joey. Good luck this weekend. Got that?